Hello, this is Rob Flanagan with Flanagan Homestead in East Fork Christmas Tree Farms. We're going to do a real brief video on how to shear a Christmas tree with a knife today. There will be more videos to follow, but I only have so much time today to record. And but I wanted to get this out early in the season as we come to Christmas tree shearing season. This is early July, which is about the right time of year to start shearing Christmas trees here in the Pacific Northwest, because the new growth is pretty much done growing, but it hasn't hardened yet to be woody, so you can swing a blade through it. So we're doing a couple grands today and a noble, showing you how to shear them, just the real basics. And as the season goes on, hopefully next week here, I'll get more detailed video on especially tying the tops and how maybe to do different things with different shaped trees. Okay, a couple things that you need to remember on shearing Christmas trees. Number one is you have to be consistent. A lot of people see a tree that's wider on this side, or the people that I hire, and they'll want to shear at this line, and then there's not as many branches on the other side, and they try to shear that in tight. If the tree is not balanced, you need to go with the tighter side or leave it so it grows out, but you need to leave the same degree angle on both sides. You've got to be consistent. You can't go one side or the other. The other thing is you need the consistency from top to bottom of the tree, keep the air in there, and again, one of the natural tendencies is to create shoulders. People don't want to cut the top, so the top of the tree is here, and they want to cut out wide because they think they're leaving nothing, so they cut out wide, and then they cut and angle down, so they leave what I call is a shoulder. You don't want shoulders on your tree, you want straight edges. I know it looks like you're only leaving a few inches on the top, and you are only leaving a few inches. As long as you have a bud on the end of that top whorl branch, then it's going to grow out and fill out. Okay, you got to leave at least one bud, but don't angle out to leave branches and then cut down and cut a shoulder. We want straight lines on our Christmas tree. Yep. All right, first thing, when I'm shearing Christmas trees, we use an 18-inch blade with an 18-inch handle. Some come with a shorter handle. I like the longer handle because sometimes when you're trying to do taller trees, it just gives you more power or more length to get it. Also, it gives you more speed and more power when you do it. Keep the blade sharp. You want it to cut through cleanly and smoothly. This is not necessarily the best way to sharpen a tool, but we have a little knife sharpener, but it is definitely the easiest and to keep going. So every time we go up and down the rows, we make sure that the crew comes back, sharpens the blade a couple times, because you need to go through the branches smoothly. So what you want to do is start at the top. We need to have a single leader. I have another one that's trying to grow up as leader. I'm going to get rid of that. And you want to figure out how tall you want your leader. This tree is getting pretty tall. We don't want it to keep running. Plus, we want this section to fill it in. So I'm going to shorten this leader to about 8 inches. This tree has plenty of buds to create a new leader, so I wasn't too particular on where we went. So at that point, we're going to try to get a 40-degree angle, approximately a 40-degree angle. The nice thing about a U-cut Christmas tree farm is they don't have to all be the exact same. Some people like skinnier trees, some like a little bit wider. So you kind of go with the nature of the tree, but stay within that normal range. So I'm going to create an angle with my blade, visualize it, and I'm going to swing through. You need to swing quickly so that the knife doesn't get caught up. If I'm swinging through the tree slowly and it catches on branches, it's going to tend to pull my blade back in, and that's really going to create a bad angle on the tree. So when I decide to swing it, I'm going to line up what I want. I'm going to swing, and I'm going to swing quickly, and I'm not going to let the branches catch it and pull it back in. I need to be aggressive on my swing. Oh. Miss the top here. Keep the same angle. There you have a tree.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to do another grand fir. Here's a couple things that you need to look for. The tops, and I'm going to do a whole nother video on tops later, because you could talk hours on just how to do tops properly, especially on the noble firs. But I have two tops here. I need to choose which one I want to keep. This one is straighter, so I'm going to keep that top. These other branches that are trying to grow straight up, I'm going to find an outward facing bud and cut just above those so they'll grow out. I have another leader that's trying to grow up from here, and anything that's trying to grow up that's not on the top of the tree needs to come out. So I'm going to take this out, and then now I've got the height of my top that I'm going to shear to. I've taken out the other leaders. Any other damaged parts of the tree that you see there, take it out and then start swinging. Okay, this tree is a little bit wider than the other one. I need to bring it in a little bit, but this is a tree that will be sold a little wider. There you have it. Okay, we've moved over to the noble firs. This is a pretty decent looking tree that's left. Looking at it, I need to really shorten this because it's already getting to the height or past the height that many homes will want. This area is not filled in very well right here. So, and I've got over a foot leader. So once the tree gets past 8 feet tall, I really want to shorten the leaders and not give it 8 inches, 10 inches, or a foot like I might on a younger tree. So I'm going to pull this over, find a nice bud that will be a good new leader. So I've only got about 6 inches there. Usually the top whorl, I'll search for buds on these nobles, leaving an outward facing bud, and then at that point in time, I'll take the blade out and I'll start swinging. I've got a little bit wider over here than over here. I need to keep it consistent. Okay, another common problem we have, sometimes you have a noble that has a little bit of air between branches, which is actually nice. I like that. Some people like it completely full, like you see on top here. Some people like a little bit more air. Since this tree is ready to be harvested, at least height-wise, we need to be consistent top to bottom. We can't have little air patches, which again are favorable, and then a really thick, tight top. So at this point in time, I'm going to reach in and try to figure out which branches I can take out to create a little bit of that air and keep it consistent. Again, you don't have all day to spend on a tree, but you can reach in, move a branch, and see what's on it. And then if you can afford to lose that part, take that out. And actually I need one more over here. A thinner one, I'll just take the smaller amount out. And now if you look at this tree from the angle you did before, it's a little bit more consistent in its thickness or fullness. One of the mistakes that we made early on is we started shearing trees and got the exact shape and the right amount of leader from the time that they were super small. Okay, this tree, what we've done in the past or recently is we're letting these things grow. So you can see from here to here, it grew over about 16 inches last year, and we just let it all grow. And then this year, it's got about 10 inches. Until it gets up to about 5 feet high, we're just letting them grow now. And we found that if we keep the shape on the outside, it'll start filling in. It looks kind of scraggly for now, but then when we only start letting it do 8 inches here, 8 inches here, all of this will fill in. And it does two things. It gets our tree to where it's marketable size earlier, and instead of shearing and getting all this filled in and lots of needles, and then our trunk gets incredibly large, by letting it just run to about 5 feet height-wise and then slowing it down, we are getting a tree faster to market size, and we have a lighter tree to sell. Okay, one of the things that you have to do is cut handles. I used to be hesitant to cut handles when we first started because it seemed like it was taking away so much of the tree, or to cut too much of a handle. Now I'm more erring on the side of being aggressive. You need at least 10-inch handles. I don't mind having up to a foot. Handles means you take everything off the bottom. Sometimes when the tree is only yay tall, we might take off up to just a few inches, but that's not the complete handle. Once the tree gets to about 3 feet tall, you can take off the first 10 inches to a foot and just take it all out. And again, if you do this early enough, and earlier is better than later, it's easy to get in, and it just keeps the trunk smaller. So you just have to have the handles gone. I'm going to take even a little bit more, and this will be where the Christmas tree starts. This will all be fitting into a stand, and this tree will look great. If you don't take out the handles early on, sometimes this branch starts growing up into the tree, and then it comes here and then it sends branches out, and then you cut the tree down, and then the customer wants you to cut off some of the branches so that they can get it in a stand, and then you pull this branch out and then there's a big empty space in the tree. So it's really good that you get 10 inches to a foot early on before the tree starts filling in and taking its shape, because if you take that out later, you create a hole. But if you have the handles out when the tree is 3 feet tall, then what you see is what you get. Okay, cutting handles, ask my boys, is the least favorite job on the farm. Sometimes I kind of like to do it when we're shearing, so you're shearing standing up and then bending over. But if you're doing just handles, you spend the day walking up to trees and just leaning over, finding all the branches. And then you get to walk over to another tree. Well, we need one over here. I won't do a full foot on this one, but I can take the first 8 inches off now. And spending the day bending over, leaning over and cutting them, it's not what the 53-year-old dad is supposed to do, it's what his sons are supposed to do. Okay, cutting handles, ask my boys, is the least favorite job on the farm. Sometimes I kind of like to do it when we're shearing, so you're shearing standing up and then bending over. But if you're doing just handles, you spend the day walking up to trees and just leaning over, finding all the branches. And then you get to walk over to another tree. Well, we need one over here. I won't do a full foot on this one, but I can take the first 8 inches off now. And spending the day bending over, leaning over and cutting them, it's not what the 53-year-old dad is supposed to do, it's what his sons are supposed to do. All right, thanks for joining me on the Flanagan Homestead, where Christmas trees are my business, teaching, including horticulture, is my job, and outdoor projects are my passion. I'm going to do several more videos on shearing Christmas trees. Like I said, there's going to be probably a long one on just how to do the tops on nobles, because the tops you could talk about for hours to get those right. But there's much more Christmas tree stuff to come. Hope to see you again.